Okay, I'm doing a quick introduction, and this is the way that we'll do it. We got cynics versus non-cynics. I presume non-cynics tonight are Ajay Bagga, very well-known speaker on business, macroeconomics, market expert, General G.D. Bakshi, India's foremost, and of course our advisor on strategic affairs. We got Saurabh Shukla. He's fantastic. He's founder of News Mobile from U.S. tonight. P.K. Basu, I think excellent voice, understands politics and economics and the bigger picture and grand strategy. I think he's a grand strategy man. I would call him that. We got Santosh Mehrotra on this. Great voice, very cynical of the government. Let's see what he says today. America Narayanan usually backs the Congress. So does Pankaj, usually senior journalist. And my friend, and also usually anti-Modi, Satish K. Singh. Thank you very much. What did we get? What did we get? Okay, let's start with Ajay Bagga plus anyone on the other side. Ajay, they're saying we didn't get enough. We expected more. What do you think?
No, I think the objectives for this visit by Prime Minister Modi were re-establishing contact. You're not getting a trade agreement overnight. It's just been 3 weeks of the Trump administration. It was forming the boundaries of the next 4 years of functioning together. I think the outcomes were strong in terms of the reiteration of the strategic partnership. All the pillars that you mentioned in your opening editorial, Arnab, I heartily endorse that. The energy outcomes, the small-scale nuclear reactors, change of laws to allow American companies to supply that to the Indian private sector, which can create nuclear energy in India. The oil and gas increase today. We are 10 times more importer of Russian oil than U.S. oil. So we would welcome U.S. oil coming into India. We do need that oil. So energy, then defense, offering us fifth generation stealth fighters, F-35s, and other advanced technologies. Third, on the technology, AI, and advanced materials front, reiteration of the old Indus X as well as the ICAT. Fourth, in terms of mobility, creating the alternative to the Chinese Belt and Road, expanding that into the Americas. Again, a good outcome on that. Taking on tariffs. Tariffs, Trump, being Trump, has
Okay, let me hear the contrary view on that, Ajay.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, let me quickly get the alternative view on that so we can spark the debate. Is there an alternative view on that? I'd like to go to Dr. Mehrotra. I think we've got a lot. We've got a big declaration of a $500 billion trade, Dr. Mehrotra. We got massive progress on a free trade agreement. And I think that on the sidelines of the Quad, which is in the fall of this year, around September to December, I think Trump will come and there'll be a new trade agreement which will be signed then. So it's all good. Is there anything to worry about? Anything to be cynical about at all?
No, nothing to worry about. I don't see what there is to worry about. It is a meeting that India asked for. It was not on the basis of an invitation. And that is the basis of this meeting. First, that's the first point. The second point is that pretty much everything that's in the statement is something that we've known for quite a while. It is just continuation of what had already been mentioned in a fairly long statement in the meeting in the U.S. When the PM had gone and had meetings with Mr. Biden. You know, I just want to mention 3 or 4 things which need to be highlighted, which is in the following context. India has become, in recent years, a bigger manufacturer of defense equipment. India is way behind China, and China had already become pretty much fully self-sufficient in respect to defense equipment between the years 2000 and 2010 because they had a defense industrial policy. We haven't had one.
Keep changing on the
and both the previous government and the current government is partly to blame. The point is, we are going to be importing more. What we want to see much more is transfer of technology. The United States has not been the greatest of partners when it comes to transfer of technology. And India has to begin to do much more research, and therefore, because military research has dual uses. There are civil uses. This is the first point. The second point is that if we begin to get much closer to the United States, this hug fest that goes on every time the PM goes abroad, and he hugs everyone. Trump is not the only one.
Arnab,
Point is, may I just finish, sir? May I finish? I wanted to make 3 points, and I'm going to finish, and after that I'm going to leave. Trust me, you'll have lots of time, because I have to get to another meeting of my researcher.
Before you
but you must not leave. You must also hear the other side, because I would love you to finish what you're saying, but you must not speak and leave. That's bad.
No, look, I have already informed. Look, I'm not leaving just now.
No, let him complete.
I have to say.
See. Yeah. Then don't leave. This threat of leaving is bad.
Listen.
Don't do that all the time, please. Yeah, thank you.
Please listen to me.
Please
India
continue.
needs to become, and has for the longest time needed to become, if we want to become a rich country and also the third largest economy, we have to become a Security Council member. We're never going to become a Security Council member by antagonizing China or being on the wrong side of China. And as the closer we get to America and to Trump, who's on clearly a war path with China, this is not going to become easier. We are going to put aside.
Okay, now you made a few points. Yeah, you made a few points.
We need welcome. I very welcome.
Yeah, we need to. Now let me summarize what you've said.
The nuclear agreement, because United States has the technology on small nuclear, it doesn't have the technology on large nuclear, and finally, in any case, we are waiving the civil nuclear. Let me stop there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Now let me come in, please, and tell you my perspective on this. Just 2 minutes. We got responses coming from GD Bakshi, we got responses coming from PK, we got responses coming from Saurabh. And I need to summarize what he just said on each. First, he said that this was not on the basis of an invitation. Is that true, Saurabh? I mean, why would the Prime Minister go if he was not invited to meet? I mean, you don't just drop in on the White House. Saurabh.
Biggest misinformation.
No, let Saurabh be heard. Saurabh.
No, don't spread misinformation here. It was an invitation, sent out by the U.S. President Donald Trump. India was one of the first countries invited early on, which is I would say a slot reserved for key friends of the U.S. And the U.S. President said it in as many words. So don't mislead people on this broadcast here, sir. The second thing, what you're talking about, do read the joint statement in entirety. There's a talk about joint production as well. There's a talk about India getting access to sensitive technology. What the US president is talking about, standing next to the Indian Prime Minister, is saying that this is the best time ever for US-India partnership. On a day when your country gets high laurels, your Prime Minister is accorded not only a red carpet welcome, but also a pride of place. You should feel proud as an Indian. Don't take sides just for the heck of an argument.
That's the first point.
Absolutely. The second thing about China.
Okay, second point. No, 1 minute. On the second point, I'm getting in General Bakshi. 1 minute. On the second point, I'm getting in General Bakshi. General Bakshi, in his opening remarks, Dr. Mehrotra also says that, we should be doing more on indigenous technology. We're not getting enough technology transfer, and there are people who are saying that, see, they have a switch-off button. Americans are very dangerous. You'll take the F-35 from them. Then when we're in a conflict that doesn't suit them, they will just press the stop button, and we won't be able to use those aircraft. That and the point about not doing enough indigenously, what's your take on it?
Thank you, Arnab. Thank you. Arnab, in the hoopla attention to the minutiae, we seem to have missed the bigger picture, right? Let me state unequivocally and bluntly, the Joe Biden administration had turned positively hostile towards India because it had changed one of the anchor premises of the India-US strategic cooperation. Let me explain, right? The anchor premise of the Indo-US strategic cooperation is that both of them had viewed a long-term strategic threat from China as an antagonist, as a combatant, as a competitor. This is what had brought us together into a strategic partnership. Therefore, American administrations had pivoted to Asia. The day Joe Biden came, he pivoted back to Europe. He said, not China, but Russia is my main enemy. And you better join this crusade to destroy Russia, or else you are either with us or you are against us. Arnab, he got the regime change done in Bangladesh. Arnab, he stabbed us in the back on the
he did.
light combat engine jet fighter deal. We had paid $1 billion, and for 2 years he said, get lost. Arnab, he encouraged the ISI, he encouraged Trudeau in Canada to poke India in the eye. This is a phase transition. Donald Trump is pivoting back to Asia. Donald Trump and his entire team view China as the principal threat. Donald Trump says, I have nothing to do with the war with Russia that Biden started. That is why you see the paradigm shift, Arnab.
Absolutely.
Which American administration had offered you the F-35 stealth jet fighter of the 5th generation, cutting edge technology? What we had been offered by the last administrations was F-16. For God help us, they gave it to Pakistan 30 years ago. I mean, what kind of a joke? You call us a member of the Quad. Japan has F-35s, Australia has F-35s, NATO countries have F-35s. This was not even an offer. See the phase transition. It is being offered to you now. We are talking about small modular nuclear reactors to power future Indian aircraft carriers. For God's sake, do you realize? And the most significant statement has gone unnoticed, slipped through. You know what Donald Trump said? Bangladesh is Modi's problem. Let him handle it. You know, here was Biden trying to undo the Indian victory of 1971. You know, it's huge as it gets, Arnab. It can't get bigger. He said that is India's sphere of influence. You handle it. And we already find that Muhammad Yunus has already gone towards the Middle East on his way out. You know, so these are very, very major things. All this hoopla about
therefore I want a response now to what I just come to the tariffs issue back. General Bakshi, I'll interrupt you there. I'm still not getting, and I want to bring in Satish, America, and Pankaj. Please feel free to come in, because I want to understand what the cynicism is about. You got Tahawur Rana, you got Pakistan named by the Americans, which have never done before on the issue of terrorism. You've got the Americans saying, listen, you deal with Bangladesh the way you want. We're going to not interfere. You're the big guys there. It's your back door. We're going to give you our fifth generation stealth fighter, F-35. We're willing to sell you the Globemaster C-17. We're willing to sell you the Poseidon aircraft. We're willing to sell you the Harpoon anti-ship missiles. We're willing to sell you the Seahawks. We're willing to sell you MQ-9B drones. I think, you know, it's huge. Now, of course, some people will say, why should we take anything from America? But we're also taking the best from Russia. We're taking their 5th generation Sukhoi 57 aircraft. We're buying 5th generation aircraft. We're going to become a superpower. We're going to be becoming a superpower very fast, and we can't fool ourselves. Oh, we got to make everything at Hindustan Aeronautics. They're not going to be able to make it, let's be clear. We keep improving our long-term domestic technology, but we're going to have to move fast. Satish,
Arnab.
Santosh,
Arnab.
Mr. America, Narayanan and Pankaj, do you even have a counter to this? Or should we stop countering for the sake of it? Satish!
I don't have a counter.
I
don't have a counter.
agree on
The biggest takeaway from Prime Minister's visit to US is, as General Bakshi says, and I endorse it, number one. Number two, this visit will significantly change the contour and the matrix of international geopolitics. That's two. What we have to watch out for is, and we have to be guarded against, is we have to guard that we can't allow one-way ticket of sales, because a salesman, a transactional salesman, is in office in US, and you can't just go and say he can't be allowed to sell everything. India has to also sell something to US, right? And you can't bar us from buying the Russian oil. So it is watch and watch kind of a thing. But as the General said, that we have been appointed the guardian of Bangladesh, which is a very, very significant geostrategic development. And I have coined this word, there is a TPM axis developing in the world. This is Trump, Modi, and Putin axis. I think that will significantly change the world order, if not in practice, at least in perception. So I'm not anti-Modi. I'm not anti-Modi as you labeled me. I am an anti...
Absolutely. America.
Being a staunch nationalist, I am a balanced critique.
First thing is that I think the important thing is it's not because of Modi, but there is clearly a convergence of interest of America and India, specifically as it relates to China. I think we had the Modi administration has lost several things during the Biden regime, and now with the Trump administration, without much of an action on Modi administration, there are positive things because Trump understands China is their main enemy. We have a great relationship with Russia, and to the extent that we have good relationship with also America, balancing it is in India's interest. However, he talks about F-35, which is good, but in the recent conflict between Ukraine and Russia, we saw that the big planes had less to do with it, and we need more drones, and that has not been talked about. I wonder whether I remember one of the military experts talking about the world big planes are out of the action during the Ukraine thing. Trump has clearly said what he is getting. However, there is no clarity on trade on what India is getting. If we buy American oil, oil is fungible.
So you're wrong, sir. We are already buying Predator drones from the US, so I don't know what your complaint on drones is. I think you're factually wrong there.
However, what has been, the trade, he has been very clearly putting it right in, in the public view, and he's hitting India very hard. There's no diplomacy at all. Trump is the usual Trump.
I think I have to counter you here, sir.
Major country.
You are grossly
and we have
mistaken.
no
I've
response
covered
for
foreign
that.
policy
I think
for the
he
last
has been
25
tutoring
years.
Modi in public,
I've covered
he needs to be tutored. But, for example,
at the White
in
House.
terms of immigration, Modi should have said, yes,
we'll have to keep moving fast,
willing to take it, but the way they treated Indians is inappropriate, and he should have brought something in terms of our pride. At the least, we are taking our people, but they should not be chained. It should be so humiliating as an Indian to see my fellow Indians chained and getting back. I welcome the illegal immigrants bringing it back. I even wrote an article in a major newspaper that we should take them. But it's inhumane, and Modi never raised a single thing about it. Modi has been tutored,
How do you know that?
He has been asked about Adani, which he did not reply. So at the end of it, Trump said what he said he wanted to do, but we don't know what we are getting. We have gained something because of geopolitical interest, not because of Modi.
So you've taken a position without fact, which is a very dangerous situation to be in. I'll come into you. I mean, the problem with what you've said is that there's nothing factual about what you've said. You've said just general things. The fact is you're so wrong. You're so totally wrong. I feel sorry for you, America, because you should have known that in October we signed a $4 billion deal with the US to purchase 31 Predator long endurance drones for our defense forces, which significantly boosts our combat preparedness vis-a-vis China. I mean, obviously, you know nothing about it, or you're choosing not to look at it, but I can send you a research note on this if you want. I can send a note for you to study if you want. Now, I'd like to bring in Pankaj in. We saw hands coming in. I want everyone to come in on this. Now, the fact of the matter is on tariffs. Ajay will tell you more. Tariffs will not affect us at all because Trump's proposed tariffs will lower the incomes of the poorest fifth of Americans by nearly 4%, and for the rich by 2%. There will be short-term price hikes on everything in America, from electronics to cars to groceries. And the fact is that if there are retaliatory tariffs by China, then Americans have more impact. So whatever Trump may say, tariff wars will hit America more. Tariff threat is for the rest of the world, not for India. We're a huge potential market for American goods. He knows the Indian Americans in high regard. He knows Indians are hard-working people. India is a big market. And we need to be clear, Trump knows he can't hit India with tariffs. I just want to say that last word on the tariff story. So we're strong in a position to negotiate. He's acknowledged, Pankaj, that Modi is a tough negotiator. But what he's not said is that India is in a good position to negotiate as well. Yes. He can't bully us. He knows that.
If Bhai Modi is a tough negotiator, what sort of negotiations has he done? You know, the entire thing is heavily tilted in favor of United States. His visit was just optics, nothing else. Hug, shaking hands, this and that, where he stayed at the Blair House. You know, tricolor was there. So these kind of symbolic things have no meaning in international diplomacy. These are all, you know.
What is symbolic?
Oh, we were missing you. We missed you a lot. You are a great friend for a very old time. All these things are universal practices.
This is juvenile
workplace universal practices in international diplomacy.
Because
and so Modi.
I got PK to come in. PK.
PK
is countering. I'm going with PK.
Modi devotees.
Okay, now let's understand the main purpose of this trip is
the reality
to get in on the action with regard
this is
to
not
tariffs.
Something, and I'll give you a very strong example of how strong a negotiator Modi is. Look at Russia, Ukraine. We bought 650 million barrels of Ukrainian oil last year. 650 million barrels at $60. If India was kowtowing that, we have kept our independent policy. We have stood with an old friend like Russia. We refuse to bow to that international pressure of a very corrupt Ukrainian polity, which was being puppeted by the Obama administration onwards. So I think that gives you an answer. What else do you expect? You expect Modi to take a holy pichkari and put color on Trump and destroy his White House desk? What kind of nonsense are you talking that this is very simple thing? You're really lowering the debate. When you meet as a statesman, you, of course, you exchange gifts, you exchange pleasantries, and a lot goes on. He met the NSA, he met the head of the intelligence, he met Trump, he met Elon Musk, who's running all the cutting-edge technology. We want space, we want privatization of our space endeavors. We want satellite Wi-Fi to come in. We want to see what else can we do on the cutting edge. You have seen the Indus X, you have seen the ICET. These were Biden-era agreements. These were taken forward in the discussions with Musk. So please, let's not just belittle the Prime Minister of the country just for our political standing. That's my only request.
No, I think Saurabh was there when that question was asked on being a tough negotiator. If I'm not mistaken, was it you who asked that question, Saurabh?
Yes.
That was your question, right, in that press conference?
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it, what he said and how much he meant of it.
Arnab, as a journalist, you have to ask questions which create, which is in the context. The context was in tariff, how some people were painting that, oh, India is bowing down to the US and all. And I asked him, I thought I'll ask the principal straight on that at the meeting that the two leaders had, who was the better negotiator? And straight came the answer. You heard it. The entire world heard the answer that President Trump said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the tough negotiator by far. And this has gone viral. So I think all our panelists should know that here is the President of the United States standing in White House, declaring in front of the entire global media that on a time, and the context is very important, at a time when he's also talking about tariffs and he's having meetings. So what does that symbolize? That during the discussions, Narendra Modi promoted India's national interest, whether it was tariffs or terrorism, whether it was geopolitics or economy. So this is what matters. And this is what matters in the geopolitics today, that you have to stand up for your rights, for your national pride. And that's what he said. What did the Prime Minister say? That India is not neutral. India has a position on every issue that matters in front of the international community today. And today, the headline of this visit, I can tell you, I've covered many state visits, many visits at the White House, is that India-US partnership under Trump 2.0 and Narendra Modi 3.0 is going to etch out a new paradigm for US-India relationship. And that's what has happened yesterday. And I think we should be applauding it. For a minute, all our critics, all the naysayers should relax and say that this is India's pride. This is 1.4 billion India's pride. We should rejoice on that.
Now we'll sharpen this debate. That's excellent. I must congratulate you, Saurabh. Great journalist out there, and always asking the right question.
Arnab,
yes.
Arnab, if I can give two examples.
Can I get PK in and come back to you, Ajay, after that? Let me get in PK because he hasn't come in yet.
Okay, now I think
I want PK to come in and respond to all the initial points that Dr. Mehrotra made. Dr. Mehrotra, I want your attention because PK is hitting back at your initial comments. PK Basu to Dr. Mehrotra, he made all those points in the start. Maybe that and a lot more you want to get into.
Okay, now
PK.
The first thing to understand is that we have a strategic convergence of a grand sort. The most important thing is, over the last 2 or 3 days, President Trump has spoken to President Putin. He has clarified that Ukraine is not going to ever enter NATO. And that basically more or less ends the US-Russia conflict and basically ensures that our friend Russia is now going to become a lot closer to our even closer friend, the United States. So this is an important strategic shift that is completely different from what the Biden administration was about. Now, Dr. Mehrotra wants to talk about China. You see, the Congress ecosystem wants us to always be playing back foot defense with regard to China. We are supposed to be very scared that China will veto our ability to join the UN Security Council Permanent 5. Now, the reason why we aren't there is because in 1950, the United States offered it to us, but Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and his sister, Vijay Lakshmi Pandit, batted it away and saying that anyway. So long and short of it is that we have to build our own strategic relationship with the United States. It was Trump who coined the term Indo-Pacific. It is Trump who has completely changed the narrative and the rhetoric on the Indo-Pacific versus the Asia-Pacific. So the Quad is going to be absolutely central. The fact that we have now been offered F-35 stealth bombers is a huge positive step. There is progress on the nuclear front, on nuclear cooperation. Manmohan Singh signed an important deal with George W. Bush, but there's been no progress. It's been nearly 20 years. It is, in fact, 20 years this year since that was done. But we need to make that, we need to actualize that and move towards actual benefits to India from nuclear technology, and that is going to make significant progress now. So there's a bunch of things. On the strategic
I want to get that elephant out of the room, out of the way, which you are alluding to, PK.
About tariff. Please understand.
Yeah, on the economy front, why don't you respond to Mr. Mehrotra? Yeah.
No, can I just say one thing about tariffs? The tariffs point is this. There is no doubt that Trump is going to impose reciprocal tariffs. This was well known. Today was the day he announced them. He announced that he's going to impose reciprocal tariffs. But what has happened here is that India and the US.
But it's not specific to India, it's overall.
We are going to overcome this reciprocal tariff issue and come up with a deal between India and the United States within the next 6 months. By the fall, that is by about September, October, by the time the Quad Summit happens in India, India and the United States would have come up with a deal to overcome this reciprocal tariff arrangement, which is going to be imposed on all countries. There is no doubt that if you just look at tariffs, don't think of things like non-tariff barriers. China imposes 1,560 non-tariff barriers. So their tariffs may not be too high, but their non-tariff barriers are incredibly high, and that is what needs to be addressed. So we need to keep the discussion going. The point is that we have got in early. Ishiba of Japan.
Yeah, but too much is made of this whole thing of one on tariff, and I think now I'm going to say something that will get Mr. Mehrotra to threaten to leave my program, but I'll say it anyway. What the heck? I should say it, Ajay. I always feel we should speak the truth. General Bakshi, coming to you on the economy issue here. I think Ajay, I always sort of pull back because I feel Mr. Mehrotra has a nasty habit of walking out when I ask him a tough question. But I'm sure he won't do this time.
Mr. Goswami, I told your guest coordinators that I have another meeting at 8:30. I've already overstayed by 15 minutes. I have kept my 3 researchers waiting. I will have to leave. I regret to inform you. I'm sorry.
I want to just get Ajay to respond. Don't leave just yet. Now, Ajay, too much is made of this China will get upset issue. Why don't you just, fix that once and for all, Ajay? Yeah, just 1 minute, sir. Just listen to Ajay. It'll be wonderful contrary opinion. He'll give you in a minute. You'll respond to him, and then you can get going. But do respond to that. Yeah, go on, Ajay.
Yeah, no, the biggest issue for tariffs is not US levying issues, tariffs on us. I'll give you a small example. Pharma is one of our biggest exports. We send $8 billion of generic pharma to the US. US sends us 600 million, on which we have 10% tariff. If the US puts 10% tariff on our generic pharma, their already overstretched healthcare system collapses because they have got generics from EU, from China, from Mexico, and from Southeast Asia also coming in. They will have to reciprocally put 10%.
So what's your short point to Mr. Dr. Mehrotra?
For us to drop 10% on 600 million is nothing. 60 million, if we just give away on this big an economy, it's no big deal. That's a very simple thing India will do. Pharma is taken care of. Coming to defense, we spend $85 billion a year. China spends $240 billion. US spends $850 billion. You can't compare us to China. It is 20 years ahead of us. GDP-wise, it's 2007. But the risk is, after Taiwan, China will turn on India. You have the Chinese generals, what General Bakshi has also written about earlier. In the 1990s, they have written, they stake claim on entire Siberian Russia. They stake claim on Arunachal and Ladakh. They stake claim on most of Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia. China is expansionist, is an authoritarian. It is unfortunate that we have such a big negative trade gap with China. And again, it is the issue of 2004 to 14, where we opened up our borders. And this government has not been able to get a substitute.
Yeah, so what you're saying is to keep thinking. Yeah, so Dr. Mehrotra, this whole bogey argument that Chinese will get upset, don't upset China, doesn't really sound practical anymore. We got to confront the realities, because you made that point repeatedly in your opening remarks. Nobody buys that line anymore.
Listen, if there is one country which is preventing us from becoming a member of the Security Council, it is China. And Mr. Basu's argument, point is factually incorrect about, us being offered the Security Council seat. So let's just forget about that. Can we just move on to the more substantive point here that needs to be made? Arnab, the point I think I was making, with all due respect to all my good colleagues, who've all made good points, and I tend to agree with with Ajay about pharmaceuticals. He's completely spot on. I'm completely in agreement with him on the. I don't think we will need to worry too much about the tariffs. I believe that the bigger issue for us is that we should begin to spend a little bit more on defense, but that means our growth rate has to grow, because if our growth rate doesn't grow, our tax revenues don't grow.
Bakshi.
So our growth rate doesn't grow, our growth rate has come down by 2 percentage points in the last 10 years compared to the period 2004 to 14. Please note these factual situations. I am as much of a nationalist.
On the defense issue, Jal Bakshi is also making a comeback. Jal Bakshi.
Okay, I need to leave. Forgive me. I have to.
Right. Mr. Malhotra, thank you. Mr. Malhotra, I'd like to point out to you that the greatest gain we have made is at the grand strategic level, right? At the level of grand strategy, strategic outlooks, right? It is big. Like I told you, in the Biden era, we had a United States that was openly hostile, that has spent $6.2 billion of US aid to topple the Modi regime. The facts are now out. All right? Donald Trump and his team are pulling those facts out that the US aid had spent $6.8 billion in India to topple the Modi regime via the likes of George Soros. What a turnabout. Now, Donald Trump tells us, please handle Bangladesh. That is, South Asia is India's sphere of influence. In 1971, we had restructured subcontinental security by breaking Pakistan into two. The United States under Biden tried to recreate that polarized three-front situation for us. What a change that Donald Trump is telling you. You handle Bangladesh. And we will, so help us God.
And the reference to Pakistan, General Bakshi, you must mention that they were so nervous in Pakistan today, General Bakshi. Their foreign ministry put out a press release saying, we're shocked. We're shocked at what's come out in the joint statement. You must mention that.
They certainly are shocked, Arnab. I was with Arzu Kazmi, and they are nervous as hell. And it's about time they should be, because their cup of woes has run over. Arnab, this ISI cooperated with the CIA in trying to orchestrate a colored revolution in Bangladesh, where Muhammad Yunus was parachuted because he had given $650,000 to Hillary Clinton's campaign fund. And where had he taken the money from, Arnab? From the Grameen Bank. Microfinance for farmers, fishermen. He takes that and gives it to curry favor with Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump as the candidate, right? He tried to defeat Donald Trump. Donald Trump, he may have his faults and flaws. He doesn't have a short memory. He doesn't forget and he doesn't forgive, which is good for people like this. So we've already got the news that Muhammad Yunus had reached the Emirates. How far he is going to run? We've gotten the news that a number of his senior officials have booked tickets.
He's going to leave Bangladesh soon. He's going to flee after this. He's going to flee. I don't know what his Congress friends will do here. What will they do? I don't know. America. What will Rahul Gandhi do? His friend Muhammad Yunus is leaving. And his podcasting partner, Muhammad Yunus, is leaving.
Arnab, with your
cornered.
I'm happy that you have admitted and your panelists admitted the failure of Modi's administration with the foreign relationship during the Biden administration. Thank you. So at least now our strategic interest converges. I am also
Okay, that's funny.
Make
That's
India great is also my motto. I think we have a good opportunity now. But as far as this particular meet, we have not gotten anything specific, only in generalities.
General Bakshi, you want to complete that?
What the American
Okay, you're repeating now. General Bakshi.
We need to work on specific.
Yes.
Okay, closing after this.
Administration. We
got that. We got that. Let me take you up on that aspect.
Which he has failed to do and has yielded to.
Look, our people should not be going on the donkey route to the United States.
No.
There is the H-1B route. 30% of Indians are in NASA.
By the Trump administration.
Keep
That's
changing
wrong.
on the left.
Now, can I answer? Can I kindly answer, or are you going to go on a monologue overdrive?
Of India and the Trump administration to work together because
Thank
our
you.
strategic interest is
Firstly,
coinciding.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
It was not.
Bakshi, complete your point, sir. You've been waiting 10 seconds, sir.
Anybody who had sucked up to Biden would have betrayed his country. He said, it's a failure of the Modi that we didn't get a coincidence of interest in the Biden era. Biden was gunning for us. Anybody who had tried for a coincidence of interest would have been selling out India, right? He stood his ground, and now there is entire thing has been a sea change. As propos the issue of the donkey route, those are a disgrace. They had no bloody business to go by those routes to America and bring.
So, General Bakshi, this is just fantastic. I personally believe that this relationship, a mature relationship between the U.S. and India, is a game-changer partnership for the next quarter of a century. And I think Trump and Modi at a personal level get along, which we are very happy about right now. And India has anyway mastered the art of keeping national interest above anything else. We need more confidence that Modi will continue to do that, which he will. And when I'm back, ladies and gentlemen, why one part of the ecosystem is crying, where they got hurt badly, and where they will get hurt badly in the future, when I'm back.
Time for a quick breather.